Hi there, joining us today, CommBank Sustainability and Agri-Economist, Denis Voznesenski. Denis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
There's been considerable volatility in world wheat markets the last couple of months. Can you talk us through that?
Oh, it's been an absolute roller coaster. And I'll give you a little bit of context. So we had global prices reach record levels back in early 2022, specifically probably late February when Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, once those prices hit peaks, they kept continuously going lower, lower, lower until probably April this year, so April 2024. At that point, at the end of April, we saw increased global geopolitical uncertainty with the conflict in the Middle East. And at the same time, we started to see issues with the Russian crop. Now, Russia's the largest world exporter of wheat. That's why it's important. There was drought, there was frost, and their total production estimates went from a high of 94 million tons to now probably 78 to 82 million tons. So it's a massive decline. Imagine if the Australian wheat crop fell by 14 million tons, everyone would notice. And that's what's happened to Russia. Now, prices kept increasing, and then we saw dry conditions in Western Australia. We saw dry conditions in the Canadian prairies, all large exporters, and prices just kept going up. Eventually, they hit a bit of a plateau. Russian estimates stabilized. Everyone realized that it's not the end of the world. Russia's still going to produce a lot of wheat, just not as much as it thought it would earlier. It rained in Western Australia. It rained in the Canadian prairies, and the market started to calm down. Furthermore, we're heading into the Northern Hemisphere harvest now, and even if crops aren't as big as what people expected, it still means new supplies coming online, and when that happens, prices just don't go up as much as if there wasn't a new harvest coming.
Staying with global wheat markets, what do you expect will happen in the coming weeks?
Well, look, I think the fact that we now have a better outlook in Canada, a better outlook in Australia for the year ahead, and the fact that we're going into Northern Hemisphere harvest, it's just hard to see any significant upside for now, unless we see something war or politics related. So, for example, if the Russian government says we're going to reduce wheat exports because we think we're going to produce less this year and we don't want our domestic inflation going higher, or if there's more, for example, Russian strikes on Ukrainian port infrastructure or energy infrastructure, that would be supportive of prices. But apart from that, seasonal conditions around the world are looking more favorable, so there should be more supply later in the year.
Closer to home, farmers are basically finished planting their crops. What are their prospects?
Well, the year started mixed. It was very dry in Western Australia, South Australia, and Western Victoria, while it was very good in Queensland and New South Wales. Now, it was very concerning as to when would rains finally come for WA. Well, they finally arrived. And there's some farmers, for example, in the Geraldton zone, so the northern part of the cropping belt, where farmers received almost as much rainfall in a matter of a week as they received over the last 18 months. So there's been a considerable turnaround in Western Australia. Western Victoria also over the last week received decent rainfall, and the topsoil moisture, which was drier, connected to the subsoil moisture, which was still there. It just needed to connect to that higher topsoil moisture with increased rainfall. South Australia, that's the big concern. I recently got asked, Denis, if South Australia gets more rains now, could it save the crop from going below average? Well, for now, yes, but as we head into July, if there's no significant rainfall, it's likely going to mean yields are going to start dropping off. I was speaking to some farmers in the northern York Peninsula, and they were looking at their rainfall gauges and soil moisture data, and that data has been around since probably early 1900s. That's when the record keeping began, and it is the driest in that part of the country that it's been in at least 124 years.
Denis, appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.